Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and Alex here with
M3GAN.
Megan.
May I have your attention, please?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I don't know what to feel anymore.
Horror. Something even more terrible than you.
Okay, so let's jump into Megan. This is the meat and potatoes of this episode. We just watched it 2 days ago.
Yeah. Night before or yesterday.
Came on. I kept saying it was like all the headlines are like Megan comes out today on premium VOD, and I was like, Alex, it's out on premium VOD, and you were on the TV, and you went, what the hell is premium VOD?
I was like, what app is that?
Yeah. It's just, I guess premium VOD is just more of a price point than a place you go to gather
okay.
gather the film itself.
I was like, what app do I search for? Where's the VOD app?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, stupid. It was Prime. It was Amazon.
Yeah, it was just Amazon Prime.
Just buy it for $25, which is what I did because I was like,
It was
for $20.
Rent for 20.
I think it was like $20. You could get it to rent, and for $25, you could just buy it. I was like, well, I'm going to buy the damn thing. Of course I am, because it's $5 difference. And if I don't like it, well, I've spent $5 more than what I would. You know what I mean? Who cares?
Yeah.
Anyways, I recommend buying it because
Yeah,
then you have it forever.
And you never know if you're going to be inspired to watch it again or something like that.
I think I would watch it again. Would you watch it again?
I would watch it again.
Maybe parts of it for inspo?
Yeah.
For something?
I would watch it for inspo. What was your first reaction when with the movie in general? Like, did you enjoy the movie? Did you like the movie?
Yeah, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars.
4 out of 5 stars? Because it's got like something crazy, like 98 or 95% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
I think it's I was like, so with Rotten Tomatoes, it's interesting because the Rotten Tomato, like the percentage is based on how many people liked the film, not on what they give it as a rating.
Right.
So I think that there's like, it's kind of like, I forget what how the rating system works, but so you can kind of look at like, this cat is driving me crazy.
Oh, Remy.
Bye, get away.
He's in very kitten mode. But if there's a button.
Is he like 4 months old? I think so.
Yeah, he's biting a
He's
lot of
freaking
buttons.
nuts. So if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, you got to pay attention to 2 ratings. You got to pay attention to how many people liked it, because that to me is always like, I'm probably, if it's above like 75%, which is like, I think they're cut off for what's rotten, or no, maybe that's their.
They have so it's I think it's like
65%, above 65% is considered fresh.
Yeah.
But certified fresh is over 75%.
Yeah, you get like a nice little banner behind the
tomato. A little extra something. So you have to pay attention to that rating. That's how many people liked it. And then they have like the average score. And see, I think the average score for Megan was like 7.2, which is like the second number that you pay attention to.
Okay.
Because that's what the average rating is.
What about audience score? Because they usually have like the critical
score. The audience
score.
score on it, interestingly enough, sucks. And I think it's interesting that the audience score sucks.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that sucks, but like comparison to
Lower.
the critic score, because it's like 93% is the critic score, the audience score is 76%.
That happens a lot, especially with like horror films.
Really?
Yeah, especially ones that are like really divisive.
Do you feel like Megan's divisive?
No, it feels like a pretty straight cut.
I think that there's something that happens. So it's the same thing that happened, I think, with Cabin in the Woods.
Interesting.
Because I think Megan, I mean, we could talk. I don't know how you have the order.
No, this is just.
We're just
going to
talk now. Okay. Yeah. What's interesting about Megan is that I think Megan is, I mean, it's pretty satirical. It's like, it's not really meant to be like a straight up, like, this is like, you know, like there are some movies that are horror movies that are sort of based on, they're like playing it straight and they're like, this could really happen. But Megan was like, it was a joke. Like, it was like, to me, it was like, of course nobody's going to get a life-size childlike doll,
right,
and AI, and like everybody knows how that story turns out. Mm-hmm. So like the film feels like kind of like a almost like a parody of, like, not parody, but like it's like in the same way that Cabin in the Woods is making fun of like horror movies, like, you know, like the Cabin in the Woods, and all these kids go to the Cabin in the Woods, and then, you know, they, you know, and a lot of people didn't get the joke.
Right.
They're like, that was I remember I watched it with a group of friends from college, and they were all like, that was a terrible movie. And I was like, no, it like literally wasn't. Like, I mean, yeah, I can understand like not enjoying it, of course, but like, it's not a terrible movie. It's a joke. Like, it's
right.
and they didn't get the joke. They, you know what I mean? They didn't, the movie it was aware of itself. And so that's how I feel about M3GAN. M3GAN was totally aware of itself the whole time. And I think maybe people just don't realize that. They're like, this would never happen. You know, they're watching it. And even I had moments of watching it being like, this would never, like, that would never happen. Like, of course she's killing people. She's a freaking AI doll. You've made her strong. You know, you've made her
She's made
like
of titanium.
she's made of titanium. She's teaching herself new tricks. Nick, can we throw him out? Can
let's
can we get him out of here?
Hold on, let me do that so I can edit that.
He's driving me crazy.
Welcome back, listeners. Okay.
I had to get that out.
I'm leaving that in.
No.
I'm leaving that in.
No, don't leave that in.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Okay, so yeah, I think it's a joke. I think the whole thing's a joke. I don't think it's meant to be taken seriously at all.
Well, it even opens up
With the most ridiculous thing in the world. Tell them.
So it opens up with this like weirdo Furby like toy.
It's an ad, but it starts with like, you know,
Your
your dog died, and that sucks. So here's this pet that lives forever, and it's an AI like toy, like a Furby.
Mm-hmm.
But it literally starts out with this little girl crying next to like a mound and a like R.I.P. like tombstone of her dog. Like your dogs, you know, they don't live long enough. They don't, you know, now this toy will outlive you. That's a dumb thing. That's a dumb premise. Nobody believes that a Furby is going to replace your dog.
No.
You know, so like for connection. You know, nobody's, you know, getting a dog thinking, "Oh man, this thing is going to die." I mean, we are thinking like, "Oh shit, it's going to die in 20 years," but like, or 15 years. But like nobody's not doing, you know, nobody's like, you know, wanting to like, "Oh, if only my dog, you know, looked like a Furby and lived to be forever," you know.
And I wish I
as
could
long as
feed it.
chargers.
I wish I could feed it via my iPad
Exist.
so it could poop out like food or whatever.
Oh
it
yeah,
was.
the thing was like pooping like weird little nuggets of little like
giving
nerds
like really
things.
weird quips too.
Oh, and it was so creepy. It had like human teeth.
It did. It looked like
They made it so ridiculous looking.
it looked like the first version of Sonic. Remember
yes,
like when that trailer
yes,
came out?
I bet you they modeled it after that. I bet they totally did.
Because that thing was weird looking.
It was so creepy with the human teeth. It's the human teeth on like a not human. It's just like
You ever
don't
see
do
those
that.
fish that have teeth? You ever see
Like
those?
human teeth?
They look like human teeth.
Oh gosh.
And
Maybe I have. I don't know.
It's really unsettling. It's like,
Okay.
what do you fish? What you doing with human teeth in your mouth? Like it's not. Stop that! Stop
Knock
that
it
right
off.
now!
Yeah, so it was clearly like nobody was buying that this toy was going to, you know, replace your dog. So
You know what I really liked about that intro too, of like the real tongue-in-cheek, like silly ad, not just like setting the tone of like, you know, like what this company is like and the stuff that they're going to produce, but like when you set up something that ridiculous from the beginning, I think it's a lot easier to buy into this world. So you're no longer like, hey, that can't really happen. You know, Megan can't really do all that because they open up with like, well, we already have these shitty little toys here. So
well, I feel like the joke, the thing that everybody likes, the story that everybody likes to tell with AI is that AI is going to replace our like desire for real human connection, because if you're, you know, if you know,
social media
basically like outsource all of your emotional connection to your phone or your like devices or like a robot or whatever, you know, then, you know, we're not going to want to connect as humans anymore. And so my take on this movie which is just my personal sort of takeaway, is that, I mean, and maybe this is like, duh, but everybody's like, oh, our phones, these devices, they suck. We're not talking to each other anymore. We're not
Our
looking
heads
at
are
each
down
other
in
anymore.
the phones.
Yeah, like, and to me, it's making fun of that notion that we're not going to advance ourselves
Like
as
the iPad kids.
Yeah, like we're not going to advance with technology and generation, because people might not go outside enough or something. They might not go hiking with their buddies, or like they might just be on their phone or their devices. And those arguments are valid, but they don't matter,
Right?
because we're going to keep advancing technology as much as we can, because that's what humans are going to do. Like it's just irrelevant. Like, oh, we don't talk to each other enough anymore. Well, figure it out. And I feel like that's what M3GAN is speaking to, because this doll. Well, should we tell them like the summary? I mean,
Yes. So for those of you who have not seen M3GAN, I'm sure you've definitely heard about it. It's almost hard to avoid hearing about M3GAN, because the one thing I want to ask you later in the show is like, do you think we have an instant new horror icon on our hands?
yeah, well, yes. You've already asked me. Check it off your list.
I already asked you that?
No, you just did.
Okay, well, let me check this off my list. Okay, that was an easy one. I thought we were going to dive into it, but no, there's no need to it.
We can dive into it, but
No, I already checked it off.
Okay.
Okay, so for those who don't know, it's about a robot engineer who builds this weird, creepy doll who starts to take on a life of her own.
yeah. So can I? So like
That was the IMDb version of it. Thank you.
that was good.
Thank you.
So basically this little girl dies. Her parents die in a car accident, and she has to go live with her aunt, and her aunt works at a toy, like AI toy factory or design development place, company, and she's developing toys, and she's not great at it. I mean, that's my personal opinion. She's not great at it. But she's trying to develop this like doll, and she's got this little girl that moves in with her, and she is not equipped to deal with this little girl's emotions, this little girl's little girlness. She wants to play with toys. She wants to she needs connection, human connection, like a motherly figure. And Aunt is not great at that. She's a robotics engineer. She's
Aunt Gemma,
Aunt Gemma. Thank you.
played by Allison Williams.
Yes. Aunt Gemma is not prepared to handle the emotions of an 8-year-old. What is she, 10, 8? We don't know.
No, pretty
Child,
young.
8-year-old, I think. A little girl. So instead of dealing with the emotions of the little girl, her little niece, she builds a doll who can deal with, who's programmed to deal with the emotions of this little girl.
And to learn.
And to learn about the little girl and really become a sort of parental or caretaker of the little girl. Mm-hmm. And it's like starts out, I think it's like kind of a friend. It's supposed to be a friend for her, but then it really ends up being like a full-blown caretaker. She's like telling her to wash her hands after she pees, and like.
And she gets annoyed with her.
Yeah.
Because there's like a super cut of her.
It actually kind of really creeped me out when she started to get mad at her. I was like, if an AI got mad at me, it's getting a baseball bat to the head immediately.
Yeah, so there's like a super cut of like M3GAN and Katie, the little girl, getting along and doing all this stuff. And one of the things she stops, I don't think she's like flushing the toilet or washing her hands.
She didn't flush the toilet, then she didn't wash her hands, and so like the doll is M3GAN is reminding her to flush the toilet and then wash her hands, and she doesn't. She keeps having to remind her, and the doll starts to get like agitated. She's starting to get mad, and it's like, okay.
She tries to walk out, and she goes, "Seriously, wash your hands." And like she gets a little toot with her, dude.
Hashtag nope. Okay, so yeah, so that would be the end for me if my AI anything, like if Alexa one day was like, come on, like, what do you, like, I don't know what she would say. What's something mean that Alexa would say to you? Like, hey, Alexa. And then she's like, what? Like,
down.
that would be the end. I would be unplugging that shit. I would be taking it to I don't know where you take it.
Like if the Roomba flipped me off.
With its little...
Yeah, the little backside flips up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm throwing you like a frisbee, dude.
Yeah, if it starts chasing me around the house,
Oh, God,
you're getting kicked to the moon.
Oh, God, no.
No, see, that would be the end. If that thing talked to that was their first mistake. They let her get too far. So, yeah, and so it's obvious that, like, this isn't going to work. Like, the whole time you're just like, well, duh, like, this isn't going to work. Like, obviously, I mean, even if it wasn't a horror movie, even if it wasn't, like, of course it's not going to work, in, like, even in real life. Like, AI, like, is not going to, substitute for, I mean, maybe someday, sure. But, like, in this, as it stands, AI, a robot, learning new whatever, is just not going to be a good idea for replacing a parent,
No, there's certain connections that you need to like really settle in and help you grow. You can't get that from a robot.
No. And so like and and they also everything was obvious. Everything was obvious. Like the therapist, therapist walking in, she sucked immediately.
The film did such a good job at setting up characters who you wanted to get murdered in like the most awful way. And the therapist was the first person. Introduced really fast into the movie. Like I feel like the little girl's parents die. She still has like scratches on her face, and then the therapist shows up and she's like, play together, be happy together, show me what a great life you have. And they're like, we're new to each other, dude. Like this is very fresh. And she's being a really, really huge, dick to
she
Gemma.
was just like, she was so judgmental. Like this, she's like, oh, you're still in your pajamas. Yeah, bitch, her mom just died. So like, that again was another thing where I kind of was like, I think that was, kind of part of like, it's just everything that happened was just like too much.
Yeah.
The therapist was judgmental. Aunt Gemma was, too disconnected. She was acting like too not knowing what to do. Of course, you need to get this little girl toys and books and things. Like, take her to Target for fuck's sake. Like, this isn't hard. But like, she was too clueless. And then the doll was just immediately sucked and immediately wasn't listening to directions and immediately was
went in the other
breaking
direction
protocols
very fast,
very quickly.
Like, oh, if you're not gonna do that, I'm gonna do it, and then some.
And Katie was not like, there were parts where I was like, I just don't think a little girl would act like this. So it's just, everything was too big and it just had to be a joke.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point.
And
I think that's why people don't like it.
And to that point,
in the audience, yeah.
And to that point, I think the way that they introduced almost everybody in the movie, they did it in, they were almost like characters themselves, like
caricatures, yeah.
The super annoying neighbor with the dog who doesn't shut up,
yeah,
who's blowing shit into her driveway. The therapist criticizing her like within seconds of meeting her. The boss coming in and being
the boss being so like such a boss, like like he was such a dick.
And then him being like, what the hell is this? I need something to sell for $50 or less.
And the shady intern.
Yeah, stealing the company file. Yeah.
Like everything was just a caricature of everything. Like, I don't know. So everything was like kind of like a stereotype or a caricature.
Yeah, so like the movie wasn't trying to like pull one over you. It wasn't trying to like introduce these wild things and then be serious and then be silly and then be like, it was the whole time.
It was just campy.
Yeah.
Like everything was
and in
campy.
the best way possible.
Yeah, and I think that's so fun. I think that's my favorite part about it, was that like I think there were some, okay, here's my only kind of caveat to all of this. I think that if we're going in that, like if we were going to go in that direction, I think there were some missed opportunities. Mm-hmm. Namely being, we could have had a wild, like, signature song moment where we pick a song. I mean, they tried to do it a little bit, but they didn't go all the way with it.
Right.
We could have had a great signature song moment with the doll just going, like, ape shit to like a great song, and then just like we could have just gone ridiculous.
I thought from the trailers, and
I wish they would have done that.
I thought they were gonna do that from the trailers. That scene where she's in the red hallway, where spoiler alerts, where the boss and
where she does do the little dance.
She does the little dance. I thought that was gonna be the scene.
So great, and they could have just had her just go on a wild rampage. And I needed that moment. And like, maybe they'll do it in like the second movie, because maybe they'll listen to this podcast and they'll learn. But I just wanted the doll just to go off the fucking chain and just to some sound of some great, like, you know,
some needle drop.
Yeah, like Eye of the Tiger or something, you know, like,
Yeah.
like rising up,
just messing people up left and right.
just like, or like even just like, yeah, like, or even
That
like
feels
some
like a
like really
sequel
like I would love like to see her just like kill people to the tune of like Happy by Pharrell Williams or whatever.
Like some annoying song.
Yeah, just like some really annoying, horrible song that we hate, and just slicing people, slice and dice.
Yeah.
Because I hate that song. That song is
we were
my
talking
least
about that
favorite.
The other day. Like, what was the song?
That is your most annoying song. What was yours again?
Oh, I don't. Oh God, what was it? It was. This is gonna drive me nuts. I can't remember right now. I'm trying to think of. There was a guy making fun of jukebox musicals, and the song that I hate the most, he used it as an example.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, oh yeah, that song does suck. If I think of it during the podcast, I'll bust out into song and start singing it for everyone. So I think there's gonna be some people in here who's try to say stuff like M3GAN's not horror or it's not scary.
Oh no, the ending when she started walking like the fucking Exorcist.
That was pretty gnarly.
No, that was like, I thought it was pretty scary. I mean, I wasn't like, but there was like there was a moment, especially where she attacked Katie, or she tried to attack, she went after Katie, and the way she moved, I did not like it.
And even some of the
And I think we could go harder on it, though. I think we could just go harder on all of it a little bit. The Exorcist thing was so cool, but they just, you know what, I think the movie, it 95% committed to what it was doing.
Yeah.
But I wish it would have just gone all the way. I wish we would have like 100%, 110% committed to the joke, to the like camp, like just rock out. Like the movie was good, but it wasn't iconic. It wasn't like the character's iconic. So the character, I think, is going to now become this character that we follow. But the movie, like, it's not going to be like, I don't know.
Luckily there has been a trend specifically with horror movies where the sequels are starting to be better than the first.
That would be great, because I think that we had some missed opportunities that I would love to see them rectify in the second film. Like, just make it more ridiculous, make it better.
I will say,
and maybe that's the point. Sorry, go ahead.
I do think the film did have some pretty big punches, though.
No, it did. It totally did.
Like, the one that came to my head first was there's a scene where Gemma takes Katie to, like, kind of like an alternative school, where apparently they just hike in the woods for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what that was.
I don't know what that school was.
And they paired her with like a boy who was like twice her age. I didn't understand. I was like, this girl, this is not appropriate. Whatever is happening here. And maybe that's, again, maybe it's part of the joke. They literally paired her with the biggest bully in the class.
Yeah. But I will say that scene, not just her like pulling that kid's ear and it stretching like 3.5 feet, which was insane to me. Like, that made my ears hurt watching that.
Yeah, but it would never happen. Your ear would just start to...
That's not the point.
Okay.
If it looks bad, it is bad.
No, I know. I understand. It was not Stretch Armstrong, though.
It was, I mean, it was very rubbery. It was a very rubbery ear. But you know, I'm not going to lie. Like, there's part of me that did think, like, I don't think your ear stretches like that. But then there's also part of me going, well, even if it did, I wouldn't want mine stretching like that. It
was really disturbing to me, like her basically pushing that kid into traffic.
Yes, and that, but I'm glad that the movie committed to something like that, because normally the kid gets hurt, you know, the scene cuts, he's got a sling on or a cast, and he goes, you know, she pushed me, but the movie was like, no, we are killing this kid.
I'm also, that's true, and I'm also really over us killing dogs or animals in movies. Like, I just think it's so cheap at this point. Like, it's so much more interesting to me when they find a way not to kill the animal.
I agree with that.
Because there's so many movies like Babadook, they killed the dog.
Pick any horror movie with a dog, and it's
anything with a dog, and
toast.
it's gonna be toast, and it's like, I hate that. Like, I hate killing animals for the sake. Like, it's kind of like, at this point for me, it's like kind of like, I don't know. It's just cheap. So can we just not do that anymore? Can like everybody figure out a new plot point? Like, we get it. That's the thing that you do, but like, get creative.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because there's part of you that like, and they tried to make it to where like the
dog is mean, but dogs are mean because they're poor. You know, they're not mean.
Because they got a shitty owner.
Yeah.
You know, it's the owner. You know, and I agree. There's part of me that's like, whenever I see a movie, especially like modern movies, whenever there's a dog, I'm like, be smarter than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe hopefully
than
you're
the
the
trope,
one.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're the film that finds a way to do something very interesting with that.
Because every once in a while they do. I forget. I'm trying to remember. There was some movie that we watched where there was an animal, and I was like, please, 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 please. And then they didn't, and I was like, yes. What was it?
You know what? As we were talking about this, I was trying to like rack my brain for what it was, because I remember we had that experience, and it felt so nice.
It's so great
when
the
they did
doesn't
kill
die.
the dog. And then I they didn't like show the death, which maybe they thought like that was their version of like, hey,
No,
well,
but
you didn't have to hear it whisper. But then M3GAN goes, it's 36 miles away and 6 feet in the ground.
5 feet under, and then she like had the dog whimpering on her recorded whatever audio, and I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, like, you know, I was starting to hope that like maybe she didn't kill the dog, and that like,
That's what I was hoping too.
you know, because I was like, oh, maybe the AI's smarter. Maybe the AI would understand that it's like that shitty neighbor, you know, or even the
Yeah.
mom's fault for not fixing the hole in the fence, or like something
Yeah,
like
like the
that.
AI is not blaming the dog; it's blaming the owner. Like, that would be like my hope.
But that would also make sense. Like the AI would be able to calculate like where that comes from, because she was
Or
able
she
to like
could even
download
like,
the
train
internet.
the dog. You know,
Yeah.
like she's smart enough, right? That she's like learning all this stuff. She could learn how to train the dog to attack the woman.
Yeah,
like,
if she could download the internet, I'm sure she'd download a couple episodes of the Dog Whisperer. what was his thing? He used to like make like a noise.
oh, I don't remember. It was like Cesar or whatever.
Yeah,
Caesar, I don't know what his name
She
is.
did download a couple episodes of him and get him to like kneel, you know, roll over.
Well, I don't know if she's going to download episodes, but she could probably read like 100 dog books in a minute.
That's what I'm
you know?
saying. That's
Like,
what
isn't
I
that
mean,
kind of,
though. That's what I
like,
mean.
You know, like
The information.
you just learn how to train the dog to attack. See, we're already writing a better film. I mean, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I liked it, but
I think
it could have been better.
I think they will do better, because the movie
Yeah.
as it stands was not bad in the slightest. Like there was some cheap jump scares that scared me, because again they're
Yeah.
cheap jump scares, and I'm not against jump scares. How
Yeah.
do you? I don't think you and I have ever really talked about that. Do you have any feelings towards them at all, or
Jump scares?
yeah? Do you feel like there's some
No, I
horror
don't-
fans who think that they're cheap and stupid and bad. I like them. I think they can be used correctly. There are some films that
Yeah, it depends,
when
right?
we were watching, was it Smile? Or-
Oh.
Like that film was full of jump scares, but like that was like the only trick it really had up its sleeve.
Yeah, was that but the Smile was creepy enough
You didn't really
that
need
it worked. Yeah, I mean, my biggest beef with Smile is the ending, but that's another episode. So
I don't even want to do an episode on that one. That one,
yeah,
we
it's
watched
like
that one
such-
at
I don't
home.
even actually remember it.
I don't either.
I just
I don't
remember that I
either.
didn't like the ending.
I didn't like it either.
The
But
third act, it had third act problems.
oh geez, the writer's
coming
writer's
out.
coming out. But I feel like jump scares in a movie like M3GAN,
Yeah.
I feel like they're just the right amount of seasoning to keep you unsettled.
The thing about jump scares is that they scare you, and it's creating an atmosphere,
Well,
and
some
there's a
peop-
place for it.
That's what some people say. They say they're not scary and it doesn't faze them. To which I say that sucks for you, because they scare me all the damn time.
Wait, some people don't get scared by jump scares.
Some people say they don't get scared by jump scares.
Like who? I'd like to see them I'd like to see it in action.
Oh,
Sure.
that'd be a good one. That should be our TV show.
Prove it
Prove it. Film yourself watching movies.
with jump scares. Yeah, screw you.
But I
With one of those lie detector tests.
That'd be
attached.
Yeah,
Like your heart rate
a
doesn't
heart
go
rate,
up
yeah,
at all.
a heart rate monitor. Well, that was the thing that we used to talk about quite a bit was people who say they're not scared by jump scares, and because they feel like they're desensitized to them. This is a little bit of a tangent, but they feel like they're desensitized to it. And my whole thing is like, why would you brag about being desensitized to a genre that you allegedly love? Wouldn't you want to be in that same place of?
I've experienced a lot of jump scares. I've never been desensitized to a jump scare. Again, prove it. I'm going to put you up to a heart rate monitor, and we're going to see how you react to actual jump scares on the screen.
That would be a great video series to have people who say it doesn't bother them. You know what I would do though?
What?
I would like have them like watching the movie, and I would have like some actor in the room with them.
Like an Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, like scare the fuck out of them. Like, oh, I thought I wasn't scared. I thought you were desensitized.
They're in the coffee table.
Yeah, I thought the Mr. Strong Boy over here. You thought you were good.
Yeah, have them like pop out of the coffee table in a scary bunny suit.
That'd be good. I would. You know what? We'll talk to Jason Blum. We'll get that produced. The kills in the film, being a horror movie.
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
Some people died. So there was the kid getting his ear ripped off and then hit by a car.
That escalated quickly.
That escalated very quickly. So there was him.
I was not expecting him to be dead. I don't know why. When he got hit by a car, I was like, he's just badly injured. Nope, he's dead. And I was like, wow.
But that's
I think that's too much.
You think it's too much?
Yep.
I like it and I'll tell you why. Where we wanted the dog to live, they knew that if there's a kid involved, you can't kill a kid.
What I did like, though,
Go on.
was when she said, like, boys like you grow up to be bad men.
That was a good ass line.
I think she said, I may have paraphrased a little bit, but that's basically the gist. And I was like, I will love you forever, Ms. Megan.
How many boys like that did you know growing up in school?
So many.
And then you go, and then
and they suck.
And then
they all suck.
You
now.
go creeping on their Facebook or their Instagram.
Oh yeah, one of them's in jail for murder. So yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Oh yeah, I sat next to a kid in algebra class, in algebra 2, and he was real weird. He was cute, but he was real weird, like physically cute kid, and he was like, something was not right, and he went to college and he ended up shooting a girl.
Nuh-uh.
His girlfriend. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've told me about this.
Yeah. I obviously won't say his name, but I don't really feel like we need to give this person any attention. But yeah. So he was, and he was one of those people that gave you an uneasy feeling. You know, you weren't sure why, because he did not say anything. He wasn't like the worst kid in class, but he was not great. He was just like, something's wrong, something's off, and then like, yeah, he in college, like, ex-girlfriend, I think, wasn't she wasn't wanting to date him anymore.
Oh, that's so
and then
sad.
He shot her. Mm-hmm. So in jail for murder.
Well,
those boys don't. So she's not wrong, and I think he deserved to die. Do not get me wrong, but I thought it was too fast in the movie to kill someone. That's my point.
it was like,
I don't know if kids deserve to die, but
he
needed therapy.
They
for
did
sure.
do a great setup though of like her being the protector for Katie. Like she almost like heard her screaming from him, making her hold these like weird spiky. They were in a jungle full of spikes for this school.
It was one of those I think it was supposed to be like, you remember those little like things that would get stuck on those little spurs or burrs or whatever they call them, that would get stuck on your clothes when you walk through the woods. Yeah. It was supposed to be something like that. And he just put it in her hand and started like forcing it closed because he's a bully. And then Megan was standing off there in the distance looking creepy.
They did do a good job at showing you how much of a bully that kid is, because the teacher was like, I forget the kid's name, it was like, Caden, you're going to be with this guy today. And he just went, please don't put me. Please don't.
And so then the stupid ass teacher puts him with the girl, Smart, who's like half his size.
Yeah, no, that was
so dumb. And see, those are the kind of things I think the movie did on intentionally. It was just like, it was like, what's the most ridiculous, obvious choice that we can make here?
Right.
Let's just do it.
So there was that kill
with
the kid. There was the neighbor who got, I think, power washed to death.
Yep.
I think was it power wash or like pesticides? Or
I thought it was a power wash.
It looked like,
because blood was running.
Yeah. That was a pretty painful death.
That sucked.
And she
But
sent her flying across that garage. That was great.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that was good. I personally was like all on board with like the machete looking thing, walking and killing, like dancing and killing the. Just wish we would have gone harder on it, to be honest.
Yeah. I going into the movie, I thought there would have been a bigger body count.
Yeah.
But again, I think
I don't
that's
know if it
where
had to be bigger, but I think I just wanted it to be a little bit M3GAN. Like, could we have gotten a little bit more like, I don't know, like go like anime hard on it a little bit, where we're walking around with a machete, like cool like music, like 80s music or something.
with like lots of blood.
Yeah,
Almost
just
sort of like
or Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. You know, it's funny. I was just gonna
Kill
say.
Bill vibes.
I was just gonna say.
Yes.
Django, because that was the last movie that we saw. But like the amount of blood.
Maybe, and honestly, maybe some of my feelings about this movie are influenced by the fact that we just watched Django, and Django had great moments like that, where we just, rode in looking cool, acted, like there were just like there were these big moments that were like. And Quentin Tarantino does that so well. So that's the other thing. Like, it's just like he captures those like big ticket, like big set piece moments where the character's just doing something so crazy, and then you elevate it with like the music and the and like the blood, because he also does the blood splatter so well. It's
times 10 for him.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I'm probably asking M3GAN to be directed by Quentin Tarantino is the problem here.
That would
and he wouldn't even be the right person to do that.
No. Maybe direct a big set piece, but I think if you can imagine a world where M3GAN 2 does that, there's no way it wouldn't be a better film.
Well, hopefully somebody send it to the director, and we have great ideas here.
James Wan.
Blumhouse.
You guys. Y'all listening?
Listen up.
And then the last two kills, the one with the machete with the boss and the I believe it was the intern in the was it the intern in the elevator?
Yeah, the intern.
That wasn't too
and
bad.
And she came up with like a
murder plot.
Yeah.
But
they were trying to make it make sense that she wouldn't get caught, I guess.
But then it's a program. Like what are the cops gonna do? Like arrest a hard drive? You have the right to remain silent. Like,
yeah,
it's a robot. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, she'll just shut down.
Yeah, I liked the like kids. Like, they got all the kids gathered, and then the doors open, and then there's just two dead people like slaughtered in the elevator.
Moments like that are always really funny when you put the most horrific thing in front of the most inappropriate crowd. Like, and then just that crazy scream and reaction. They're just like, yeah, and moments like that always work in a movie like M3GAN.
And then she gets in what was the
car? It was
car?
like some Lamborghini,
like a Lambo,
Ferrari,
yeah. Or Ferrari, maybe. I don't know. I didn't notice. It just
takes off like a bat out of hell.
And see, that moment, we could have done that bigger. Like, right? Like, her driving, like...
Now that you say it didn't feel big. It felt cool. And it was a cool looking visual. But you're right. It could have been this bigger...
Like heavier. The doll driving like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever it was, amazing expensive sports car, like down the road to get to like, Gemma and Katie's house. Like, I did like her taking over Elsie, like the Alexa adjacent.
Oh yes.
And influencing that. I feel like will spearhead into the second movie. That will spearhead the second movie. It's probably the Elsie thing.
The one thing that I'm glad they introduced and then used at the end was her big robot that she had built in college.
Oh, that was great. I
forget the name of it. It was
Derek. I actually don't know.
We'll call him Derek. But what's funny is like this is like she's like I built this in college and you made this really funny joke. You're like that's like a Disney level like robot animatronic.
Oh yeah, they have this. There's this robot like an animatronic thing in
Bruce
Disney. Like Bruce, and like it was like they put so much like I think like money and like resources into like building this robot because it's like Walt Disney's thing was like technology and like innovation, and so they built this like robot and I was like that's like. she built like a Disney level or like I don't Disney's, but like or like a space NASA, SpaceX, whatever.
Boston Dynamics. They're the one who makes that weird looking dog robot.
Yeah, like in college. Like no, she didn't. She didn't have that much money. But that's again the thing. Like it's like an unrealistic thing. Like everything in the movie is so unrealistic because it's kind of like supposed to be blown out of proportion. And I think that all of that, like, again, would have benefited from bigger. Like don't like they try there was everything was a little bit too understated still.
Yeah.
It's like if you're gonna go there, then go there because your audience needs to be in on the joke and they need to feel in on the joke. Mm-hmm. And I'm concerned that based on the Rotten Tomatoes, like a lot of people didn't get in on the joke because it sort of took itself seriously.
And I think a lot of people probably went in there wanting a Child's Play Chucky / Killer Doll film. I think that's probably where a lot
like a straight
they thought
like
it was
with actual horror.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like a fun AI.
But what's funny about that though is it had some scenes, and I do compare this a lot to the remake of Child's Play, the one with Mark Hamill as Chucky and Aubrey Plaza as the mom. Which, by the way, I know you don't like Chucky because he scares the hell out of you.
I
but
do not
that
like Chucky. I can't watch it.
That remake though is so similar to M3GAN, where it's not a serial killer who puts his body into it. He's an AI who learns anger through.
I think that would be cool. I think that the uncanny valley or whatever with Chucky is too much for me.
This one's campy though. Like I'd be curious. I wouldn't
I don't think I can do Chucky. I just don't think I can do Chucky in any form.
I will find a way somehow. Respectfully find a way.
No, don't respectfully.
I will
find a
respectfully find a way, and you'll see what I mean. But I think a lot of people went in there wanting something like that. But the thing that I think is funny though is there were some moments in that film that were like, it felt like old school Hitchcock. So there's a scene where Gemma is pretty hip to the fact that Megan's fucked up, and doing a lot of awful things. So they take her back to the facility before there's supposed to be this big reveal of this doll where they're going to make millions of gazillions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And they take her back to the lab, and she's hooked up to all of the wires where like they program her. And Allison, or I keep calling her Allison, where Gemma calls her coworkers, who those two were great. I really liked her coworkers that were helping her make the doll. And she tells them, you have to unplug her. And so then it just cuts to this shot of M3GAN, who we've seen kill all these people, sitting there with her head down.
Didn't for that part, didn't M3GAN actually turn some shit off and they realized they needed to unplug her?
Yeah, so
she turned all of their programming off.
So yes, she gets a call from her friend, but it's not really a call.
Gemma gets a call from
who she thinks
from
is her
the
friend.
woman who's like working with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the woman looks in her phone and it's like had called her, and M3GAN had fake called her with like a fake voice that sounded like her, and you could hear it just a little bit at the end of the call that it was like M3GAN and not her friend.
It got like a little glitchy. You could hear just a slight glitch. And it was, that stuff like that was executed so well because it was so subtle where you're like, wait a minute, was that? And then by the time you're done calculating it, the movie's like, and here it is. Like it throws the answer right before, it gives you the answer right before you can answer it yourself. And so the scene where they had to unplug her, and they are aware that M3GAN is gone bonkers, that it kind of reminded me of old school Hitchcock, like when we went and saw Notorious and that wine bottle was coming forward and almost falling to the ground and everyone gasped. There's moments where like something has to go a certain way, and if it doesn't, it leads to total disaster. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but I totally bought into that moment when he was going through it and unhooking her. I felt like I was on pins and needles. I was like, at any given moment, she's about to like wring his neck and kill this guy. And there's moments like that where I do think it gives you that itch for the people who wanted maybe a more of a straight horror.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
No, I really liked it. I'm ready for M3GAN too. I just think, okay, like, just go bigger, people.
Go bigger.
Yeah, go
bigger
bigger,
or bloodier.
go home.
Bigger, bloodier.
I don't necessarily need more blood. I just want more fun. Like I want more. I just wanted it to be. When she got right at that part you were talking about where she unplugged her and then she blew up the lab or whatever, and then she was walking out with a machete or whatever it was. It was like a machete.
It's like the paper.
It was like, don't. Like she was like walking, and there was like to the beat of the music. And I was like, yes, there it is. That's going to be our set piece moment that they're going to be able to like, you know, really like the iconic scene that like you're going to see in like the top 100 horror movie like moments, you know, whatever. And then it just didn't do it. They didn't go there. And so that's what I need. You know, James Wan, if you're listening, that's what I need in M3GAN too. M3GAN.
M3GAN. I like the title. I like the title. M3GAN. I do think there's room for this film to be like a classic, like 20 years from now, where like we would go to like something like the New Bev and watch it, and like a lot. It kind of gave me some of the like vibes like when we go to like a horror movie marathon. Like it kind of gave me a little bit of like a chopping mall type feel. So I think they can definitely do it with a M3GAN.
Do I think it's going to be a classic?
That's an interesting one. I'm wondering.
I don't know. It's just one of those things that is just like it remains to be seen, because like I don't actually know what like in the last like 10 years, like what movies have shaped up to be classics, like where you're like, I'm gonna go watch this probably in 2 decades and be like, oh, remember when?
So if we had to do like in like the past like 20 years.
10 decade.
In the last decade, so that would make it 2012.
Or like 2010, whatever. I don't care. Just like name me some classic films that you feel like you're gonna watch over again, maybe in New Beverly in like
I know. So that's like
decades.
It's weird. Like I always think like what theater would I go see?
I don't think M3GAN's gonna play at the new. Like I don't know if I think that.
I would go see something like the first Conjuring. I think I would see that.
I don't know.
You don't know? That's a really good question though.
You know.
Oh my god, I gotta like let that percolate a little longer. Last 10 years.
That's why you gotta start your Discord so we can talk to your audience.
I have the Discord started.
Well, let's tell them about it.
Well, this is a great place to plug it.
Yeah, there you go.
I gotta figure out how to. Okay, so I have a Discord for Hollow Weekly, so we can all have this conversation. Because I would love to know what you guys think about M3GAN. I would love to know
what movies in the last like maybe 10, 12 years. I you know, I don't even know what the good timeline would be for this, but like what movies are going to turn out to be classics.
For me, I would say, and I know I overhyped it for you, and for that I apologize, but I do think Get Out would be one. I could definitely see. But I'm gonna figure. I don't know how to like get people to the Discord
because like Halloween, you know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like these are the movies that like stand the test of time. Like you can go back and watch them, you know, and they still feel relevant. They still feel like fun to watch.
I would put Hereditary on that list. A lot of the big ones.
Would totally rewatch Hereditary.
Yeah.
But like, okay, yeah, Hereditary. The Witch, I guess. No, I don't know. That would call it classic though.
I think I would. I would have.
It's what starts to show up in the pop culture, I think, too, because like I noticed that the Midsommar.
Yeah.
That seems to like pop up in the because
I have a way to judge it, or to gauge it.
Sure.
Fan art, whatever you see show up in fan art more and more tends to be like what is standing the test of time. So like you do see
Hereditary, the head cut off part. Yeah. You see that a lot.
I see that a lot of Midsommar. A lot of that big flowery summer dress.
Is it Midsummer? How do you say it?
I say Midsommar. I don't know because it's OR.
Midsommar.
Midsommar.
It's like I don't know. We'll have to
whenever a film title is kind of weird, I like to say like what the witch is like 2 V's, so I like to call it the Vitch.
The Vitch.
There was that Aronofsky movie with Jennifer Lawrence called Mother, and I always say it because I had an exclamation point at the end. So like however the title's written, I just lean into however fucking weird
I like that.
But usually like if you're on like Instagram and like you see people uploading like their fan art, that's how I sort of start to gauge of like what's sitting with people enough to where they want to take time out of the day to express their art with these characters.
Yeah.
So I think there, and I think anything Jordan Peele, Ari Aster, Robert Eggers. I think the Babadook would be another one that I could put into that list. I just rewatched the ending for the Babadook and it still holds up pretty well. But like the last big horror icon that I tend to think of, other than, well, see, that's the other thing is now that we're talking about it, I was gonna say Sam from Trick or Treat, with the little sack and the sucker with the little edges, but like James Wan has introduced so many with The Conjuring, and like how many I see a lot of Valaks in fan arts of the Nun.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So it's very interesting.
No, I think this is going to be interesting because I think that it's like almost like you have to wait 20 years and stay because you don't know.
I know it's really hard. I wish I could time travel and then come back and be like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, you're never gonna believe what."
Yeah, because it's like quite possibly M3GAN could make it into like the pop, like the not pop, but like the, you know, like iconic films of like the. But I don't know. I don't think so. Probably.
I think M3GAN will. I think M3GAN will, and
You
I think
so?
I'll tell you why, because we are in an era where the sequels to the horror films are better. M3GAN's also a look that is pretty recognizable.
The character.
Yeah, like when you see her, you know exactly who that is.
She kind of reminds me of like a little anime girl, like the little like with the weird like long hair and the big blue eyes and like the kind of the way her face is shaped. Like she reminds me of like, I mean, this some of this movie was definitely inspired by anime. I'm just gonna say that. I was an avid anime watcher as a child. I would know.
I would recommend everyone give this movie a shot though. I thought it was really enjoyable. We own it now, so I would throw it on again. I don't know if I would like sit down to like watch it like we did the first time, but I would definitely put it on to have in the background because there's a lot of cool moments that I think I would rewatch. But I'm curious what the listeners, now that we're back, by the way, I want to know a few things. One, how to promote the Discord to get you guys on there. Two, what did you think of the new Hollow Weekly theme? Because I'm going to put that.
Is it going to be on this one?
It's going to be on this one.
Yes. Is it the intro? Is it the first one that you're introducing it?
Yeah, with the music.
Yes.
Composed by.
It's so good.
Composed by yours
if you're
truly.
listening to it, you've probably already heard it, and you should probably review the podcast and tell us how much you liked the theme.
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, I have a few giveaways that I want to do. So I'm gonna figure out how to do that because I got like this. I got like the copy of Universal's Horror Fight over there. I don't need 2 copies of that game. One's never open. So I got that. I got the a copy of the Rear Window poster from Secret Movie Club. It's a beautiful, valued at $40 giveaway poster. That's really nice, and a couple other things. So I want to incorporate all of that. So like this is the new Hollow Weekly, baby.
New and improved.
New and improved. It's easy stuff. So give us a review. Let us know what you think of M3GAN. Go on, follow M3GAN, the soon to be the follow up.
You can tell us how annoyed you are that I call it M3GAN.
I was not annoyed, but
you were starting to.
No, I was not annoyed, but then I fell in love because now it's hard to see. And I'll tell you what it was. It was M3GAN did it.
M3GAN.
M3GAN is what sold me on M3GAN. It's so weird. We had to wait a little bit. We had to go a little bit further.
Yeah.
We had to go a little bit further. But until then, follow us on Instagram at Hollow Weekly. Join the Discord. I'll post about it in the Instagram stories. Give us a review, and until next time, stay scary. Watch a bunch of horror movies, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Get on. Get.
Goodbye.
Go on. Get out of here.
Go on. Get.
Get some sleep. Get out of here.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Nick, they're gone.
I miss them.
May I have your attention, please?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I don't know what real anymore.
Horror. Something even more terrible than you.